Welcome to We Learn, Virtual Learning Network. This is session number 8 of the subject Organizing Childcare Services and the chapter Cognitive Development, the Emergence of Thought. Let's see the topics to be covered. Introduction, what is cognition, thought in the first year and the role of the caregiver. Let's see. At birth, the child does not know about the people and the world around him or her. She is not aware of what she can do. The child obviously does not know about the world and the people. He or she gradually gains understanding of the world around him or her. Here we'll read about how the infant develops an understanding about himself or herself, people and things. Now let's see the term cognition. What is cognition? The mental activities like learning through association and discrimination, remembering, problem solving, imitating, reasoning, understanding what is expected of one are all aspects of cognition or intelligence. Besides these mental processes, cognition also involves concept formation and symbolizing. Cognition is related to the development of the mind, the development of the brain through various activities like imagination, reasoning, remembering, imitating, visualizing, forming mental maps, concept formation as well as symbolizing. Now let's see what are concepts. Concepts are ways of organizing information. They help us to group or categorize information. A concept develops out of characteristics that are common to a set of objects, actions or thoughts. So concepts basically are common to a set of objects, actions or thoughts. It helps them to organize information, to put different things of one category into a particular head or a particular heading. So concepts become easy to memorize when they are put under one heading. Symbolizing means representing an event, object, action, quality or concept by something else, that is the symbol. This symbol then stands for that particular event or object. So symbolizing means representing an event, a person, object, action or any other concept by a particular symbol. So this symbol represents a particular thing, action, person or object. For example, the symbol this on the road signifies that there is a railway track ahead. So, children also learn by symbolizing and by seeing various symbols, and they represent an event or object or a person depending upon that symbol, because that symbol is a mark of learning and that symbol is a mark of representing and a trigger for something to understand. So that is how a child learns and visualizes as well as memorizes. Thought in the first year of the child. Jane Piaget, Swiss psychologist, stated that children view the world and understand events in a way which is different from that of adults. The children's understanding as well as the adult's understanding is completely different. The child explores and understands the world in their own wonderful way, whereas adults learn and see the events in their own mature way. Their logic is different from that of adults. The nature of children's thinking changes from one age to the next. As and when the child grows, the child becomes mature, his or her nature of thinking also improves. It also gets modified and new concepts and ideas are added in that. Piaget in his theory of cognitive development describes these changes, and the child grows. Not only does her store of information increase, but the manner in which she thinks also changes. As and when the child becomes mature, the manner in which he or she thinks and the information storage, the information capacity, the brain capacity, the memorizing capacity also increases, it also grows. But when some changes happen, some things change here and there, some also negative or positive changes happen, the child also learns from them and he or she also stores information in their own better way. At successive ages, her thought is qualitatively different from that of the earlier ages. When a child is maturing or is he or she is growing, the information or the thought at that age is different, is qualitatively different as compared to when the child was younger or in the earlier ages. Piaget stated that the development of thinking proceeds through 4 stages. There are 4 stages through which the thinking or the development of thinking takes place. The first stage lasts till 2 years of age and is the sensory motor period of development, when the child is developing the sensory, the motor, as well as the physical development is taking place. In this, the child involves himself or herself in various activities, in various co-curricular activities, small fun activities. The second stage from 2 to 6 years is the pre-operational stage. Is the pre-operational stage when a child is learning, is acquiring a particular language, or when a child is also learning to form friends and to engage himself or herself in various indoor and outdoor activities. The third stage from 7 to 11 years is the concrete operational stage, when a child is forming thoughts, ideas and different emotions in mind, and when a child is also learning to express emotions, to express likes and dislikes of a particular object, event or a person. From 12 years onwards, the child enters the stage of formal operations. From this stage onwards, the child starts to grow, the child starts to learn, whether academically as well as the child also learns outside from the 4 walls of the classroom. The child also learns from the friends, from the company of friends and from the company of cousins, family members. Here, the formal operations and the formal learning of the child starts. In the school, the pressure of the studies, as well as outside in the home environment, the different courses, different activities, as well as the interactions with various family members also happen. The sensory motor stage. During the sensory motor period, thinking develops gradually, and by the end of this stage, the infant understands that her actions can have an effect on people and objects. She can plan her actions and solve simple problems. Simple problems are solved and planning of the actions also gradually takes place. The infant understands that their actions can have an effect on the people as well as the objects, and the person also comes to understand how to use a particular object. Sensory motor stage can be divided into 6 substages. The first 4 substages are discussed here, and then the next 2 will be discussed later. In the sensory motor stage, the thinking develops gradually, and also the child's coordination with mind as well as body also gets to grow, and the child also starts to understand the coordination and the effects of different objects. The first substage lasts from birth to 1 month. During this stage, the newborn adapts to her surroundings through her reflexes. The foundations of later learning are laid now as the baby modifies and adapts her reflexes. The first stage, her reflexes, through reflexes a child adapts, and later the baby modifies and adapts her reflexes. The second substage lasts from the beginning of the 2nd month to 4 months. During this period, babies begin to show interest in their surroundings, what is happening around them, any noise or any activity, which leads them to explore. Since at this time, the infant is not able to move about physically, the process of knowing about the surroundings is in the form of visual exploration. So what the child sees is in the form of pictures, is in the form of visuals. Whatever a child learns or explores is in the form of pictures and in the form of people coming around here and there. For example, when people come and when people says hello to a child, the child immediately looks at them. So this is where, when a particular person comes and sound happens, so they take their attention towards that particular person and they see what is happening and how they create different sounds. The infant is not able to move about physically since the baby is very small, but the process of knowing happens through pictures, happens through visuals. They now spend less time sleeping, and when alert, they can scan their environment. They spend less time sleeping, and when they are alert, when they are awake, they see what is happening around in the environment, the noises, the people coming, the events, the objects, and whatever is happening, they try to observe what is happening. By the time the infant enters the third substage, that is 4 to 8 months, she is able to grasp objects, push them, kick them, and manipulate them. Now the child is able to hold the objects in the hand. The child can also push them, chuck them, kick them, and also manipulate them. The child learns with objects and toys. So in this particular time period, the child is holding objects in hand and the grip is very strong. He or she is able to make things happen and acquires new actions that produce interesting results on the objects. In other words, he or she begins to understand cause and effect relationships. The child also learns to understand the objects, the results of objects on him or her, what a child wants, what a child does not want. And slowly and gradually, the child begins to understand the various relationships. The emergence of intention in the infant's actions is an important landmark from the point of view of cognitive development. When we see in terms of cognitive development, the emergence of intention, what the infant wants, the emergence in the infant's actions. The hallmark of the fourth substage is that the infant is now able to combine 2 or more actions to reach a goal. The infant is now able to combine various actions to complete a task, like reaching the corner of the bed or going from one corner to another. At this time, the infant also begins to understand that objects occupy some position in space and that they can be moved around, that the objects are not stationary, they can be moved around, they can be twisted around, and they occupy some position in a particular space or a surrounding. When an obstacle such as a small wooden plank comes between her and the toy, the infant knows that the obstacle will have to be moved or that she will have to move around the obstacle to reach the toy. So there, the child develops the understandings that when any obstacle or any other object comes between him or her and the toy, the infant knows that the obstacle can be removed or it can be moved, or that the child can be moved around and to overcome the obstacle to reach and take the toy. So this understanding the child develops at this age. The role of the caregiver. The development of intelligence depends upon the interaction between heredity and environment. So how the child's intelligence level develops, it depends upon the interaction between whatever the child takes from the parents in the form of genes and the interaction, whatever the child learns from the outside environment. So how these two factors interact with each other, it develops the intelligence of the child. What the child inherits in terms of intelligence cannot be changed, but we can certainly influence the type of experiences that a child will have. Whatever genes the child has, that cannot be changed, but the type of experiences that the child will have, that can be influenced, that can be taken care of, which the child will experience in further stages of life, that can be taken care of and that can be influenced, or that can be seen, that how and what the child will take and the child will experience. Providing stimulating experiences to the child is normally the responsibility of the family. Providing positive, stimulating, and carefree environment at home where the child is given the chances and the opportunities to develop and to become the positive and responsible citizen is all the responsibility of the family and the family members, especially the parents. Those who are looking after the infant must be sensitive towards this aspect and give her a variety of things to play with. The people who are looking after the infant should give a variety of things so that the child does not feel bored, and should be sensitive towards the emotions as well as whatever the words and the sounds of the infant. Just as the infant needs to handle objects to learn about them, she also needs to interact with people. So the interaction also comes as an important point, not only to handle objects but also to look at others, but also to interact in their own ways with the family members. The family members must spend time with the child and play with her and talk freely to her. By interacting with people, she understands concepts and gathers information. It's very essential for people to come and play with the child and not keep the child alone for long. Talk freely to her. Talk and interact, play, cuddle the child. That's very important. In this way, the child also understands concepts and takes information in their own playway method. This will also help her to understand her experiences in a positive manner. That's all we have for you in this session. These are some of the questions you have to do it yourself. First is, what do you understand by the term cognition? Question number 2, describe the salient characteristics of each of the 4 substages of the sensory motor period. First substage and the second substage. Thank you. Happy learning. We learning.